Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 004 of The Road to Checkered Bastard, the Warp training series following the 2026 Bunbury Three Waters Running Festival. Last episode in our chat with Ian and Megan, you will have heard us reference the second seminar hosted by the Bunbury Runners Club in the lead up to Three Waters, featuring inspirational runners from within the region talking through their stories and the challenge they have had to overcome in order to achieve great things in their running endeavours and beyond. As Ian alludes to in his comments throughout, sometimes we may not realise how inspirational our stories are to others in our community, and this seminar highlights just that. First up, we have Dennis Deveraux, who shares his story with lost loved ones, a near catastrophic injury, and the determination to take on just about any endurance event that you can imagine in the years that followed. Alice Luscombe returns and shares her recent struggles with a tibial stress fracture, but dives deeper into her background with regional sport, a career-ending injury, and how she takes her experience at the highest level and helps the next generation of regional water polo athletes. Young Aidan Bean talks about his recent success at the School Sport National Triathlon Championships, but also delves into the challenges that young endurance athletes from the regions face, along with commitment needed from their families and the community around them. Finally, Amy Twist, event MC for the Bunbury Three Waters Running Festival, tells us how being diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at age 3 has not put a limit on her ability to undertake some of the toughest endurance events imaginable, such as the Barley Hope Ultra, all while raising money for charity to support those in greater need. We're very proud to bring you these stories that may make you shed a tear, share some joy, but hopefully you'll be ultimately inspired by the stories you hear today.
This is what tonight's about. It's about people that have met their challenges. They've taken on that ultimate challenge. Most of us have experienced what that's like with all the success and the failures that brings. But anyway, we'll start off with Dennis. And Dennis's story is possibly well known, but I'm going to start off very briefly with Dennis. Just tell us a little bit about your journey in sport. Start with that.
Read this? Or
yeah, you do it. Read it.
Separate question.
No.
Oh, okay.
You can go.
Okay.
It's free range.
Okay. Is that on or is this on or
yes.
Supposed to be on?
Yeah.
No, but I wasn't sure if it's
leave it
recording.
there. It might just be giving you a little bit. Yep.
Okay. I feel a bit like Ashul Shah, who was the recipient of the 2025 WA Marathon Club Inspirational Runner Award. In their Walk podcast last week, he was explaining that he's an Indian who grew up in Africa and then moved to Australia and took up running later in life. That his spirit place is the Serengeti, his spirit animal is the cheetah, but sadly he feels he's more like a cockroach that never gives up. A cockroach is a fearless creature that cares little about what others think and would probably survive a nuclear attack. There was a book published in 1959. Coincidentally, that's the same year that Jasmine was born. It's called The Loneliness of a Long Distance Runner. And some of the themes of the book resonated with my running career. From when I first ran without chasing a ball during school cross country through the pine plantations of Bentley in 1972 to midway through 2019. 38 years of self-supporting solo running. From 2019, running for me became a team sport. I was determined to remain active after falling 4 metres and shattering both my tibia. The ambulance team included Glennis, who I used to run with at lunchtimes during the 1980s when I was working for the Department of Agriculture. The ED team at the Bunbury Hospital included nurses and doctors that I'd run with, or that my late wife Susan had taught them or their children. Or they were co-workers of my daughters Phoebe and Rose, who had both worked in ED. The ED admin lady was this club's most successful runner, Mary Morgan. The regular hospital visits from the club members kept my spirits high and made me determined to remain part of the running community. The swimming runners, Brian Kennedy, Nuts and Mary, were all regular visitors. The wheelbarrow running duo of Ray Hinkston and Rob Harding got to work building ramps at my house so I could have independence when I was finally released from hospital in a wheelchair some months later. I was determined not to let the 30 bolts and 6 steel plates and my fused ankle stop me from an active lifestyle. 12 months before, my 3 children and friends and family had endured years of nursing my wife Susan through her cancer journey, and I was disappointed that I was putting them through more stress. The surgical team did their job putting me together. So then it was up to me to build my upper body strength, and with the help of the physio and the OT team, Brian would take me to the rehab gym every day. I had plenty of time to Google wheelchair running from the hospital bed. There are only 2 athletes in WA, Robin in Perth, who had only raced over 100 metres and coincidentally won bronze medal at the Tokyo Olympics, and 16-year-old Corey, who happened to live in Bunbury. I managed to borrow a very old race wheelchair and start to learn the very technical art of wheelchair racing. I had family in Sydney and regularly raced the Sydney Marathon. I was already entered in the 2019 event, which happened to be 6 weeks after I was released from hospital. I was very pleased to be offered honorary slothy status, as the Southwest Sloths were also on their annual marathon pilgrimage this year to Sydney. This was despite me not attending any of their obligatory 51 planning meetings leading up to the race. I would not have managed to travel to this race without the support of the Sloth team, including physiotherapists, engineers, builders, veterinarians and ancillary professions. The wheelchair race director contacted me the day before to determine how fast I would be on the day, as none of the other wheelies have ever heard of me. I told him I'd only been in a wheelchair since being released from hospital 6 weeks before. I'd only been in a race chair for 4 weeks. I'd run the Sydney Marathon the year before in under 4 hours, and I hoped to be faster than that. I had organised to meet Louise Savage the day before the race. I'd followed her journey since she raced in the Bunbury surf-to-surf fun run in the 1990s. I asked for advice from this legend of the Australian Hall of Sporting fame. She told me that the Sydney Marathon course has many hills and sharp corners, cobblestones and railway tracks, curbs and steep bridges. Louise, arguably one of the strongest and toughest athletes in the world, told me that she personally would not race on the course in a wheelchair. I rolled up at the start line alongside the other wheelies, who were all Paralympians or world champions. They each had escorting cyclists. The race director had allocated 3 escorting cyclists for me. The race was tough and dangerous, but the team protecting me and more cheers of support than I'd ever had at any marathon before. I finished 3 minutes faster than my first ever marathon in 1983 in 3 hours and 23 minutes. I could not have completed this first race without the team of cyclists and sloths. Nuts, Mary, Keith and Di were all integral to me reaching my aspirations in my early races. I've had a big team supporting me to continue my active lifestyle over the last 8 years. Wheelchair racers, Paralympic coaches, race officials and volunteers, Mop and Daryl from Bunbury Cycles, medical and health professionals and of course fellow runners. This team has supported my journey, including racing in Spain with the help of the Runners Club Bilbao touring team, marathons in 3 states, the 100-kilometre ultra in Australian twice, international track races in Canberra, multiple Australia Day international wheelchair 10-kilometre races in the Rocks in Sydney, and numerous triathlons around Australia and Hawaii. So basically, thank you everyone who supported me on my journey for my to keep my physical and mental health, and as I said, now running is a team sport for me, not a solo sport. I've got my other 38 years of running here before then.
Yeah.
Before then.
Yeah. I guess there's a couple of questions, but I'm sure there's some questions from the floor. A big part of your journey, obviously, has been your family.
Yep.
And I noticed one of them walked into the room, so welcome. But it's been a big part of your journey, Dennis, and I guess still is, with them spread all over Australia.
Well, it's given me the opportunity to race. I've raced Phoebe and Rose are in Darwin, so I've raced the fun runs and things up there. Phoebe was in Wollongong for a while, so I did quite a few races around Canberra and Sydney and around Wollongong, and Oscar's just moved to Tasmania, so I hope to
there's some opportunities
race
there.
on the island.
Yes. And obviously a grandchild, so
Yes,
you know you need to do some work there.
that's right. And Phoebe's still runs. She's had a few hip pains and a few knee and ankle pains and that over her journey, but Rose last year ran her first ever half marathon less than 12 months after she had a baby, and a couple of years Oscar ran Busselton Marathon in 58 degree heat, and it's his last ever marathon.
No, he'll get over it. He'll get over it.
Yeah, they were all playing team sports as they grew up, but they obviously enjoy running as well. Yep.
So one thing, those that have known Dennis a fair while, he's got a penchant for dressing up. What drives you to dress up?
Once again, it's all about...
And there's some good ones.
I haven't got many running.
No.
You get more... Now I get more accolades when I'm wheelchair racing, but before people ignored me, and when I started dressing up... Back in the day when the surf-to-surf fun run used to go through town and around a lot of houses and that, and in those days you're allowed to stop at the street corners and give kids little lollies when you were dressing up. You're not allowed to do that now.
Did he dress up at home?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought he would, yeah.
But interesting story was I won the fancy dress award for the surf-to-surf fun run for 12 years in a row.
You did.
But I only entered it 11 years in a row. So on the 12th year I had to work, but I opened up the page of the Southwest, or the back page of the Southwest Times on this 12th year, and there was a big picture of Batman, and underneath it said, Dennis Deveraux wins a fancy dress prize for the surf-to-surf fun run for 12 years in a row. And Ian Braun still hasn't forgiven me for that.
I guess Dennis has got a lot of wisdom, and I'm sure that he will share it with you. But if there was something that you wanted to share with someone that was struggling a bit, what would be the short sentence that you would give them? And I'll put you on the spot.
I haven't got a short sentence, I've got them all here.
Well, that's okay.
No.
Yeah. I've only got one more question.
No. I guess you never know who you're going to inspire.
No.
And there's plenty of times when I've had great admiration for the back of the packers. People who are running 7-8 minute kilometres, and they've been out there for hours and hours and hours, and they're still putting in their 90-95% effort trying to get through a run, whether it's the 3K run or whatever.
Yep.
And just them keep going, and we only expend a few thousand calories, but these guys are doing it for hours and hours. So you get inspiration from that. And I just wanted to keep active. I wasn't trying to be inspiring or anything, but a lot of people got inspiration out of what I do. So you just got to.
So you better keep at it, because a lot of people are still doing it.
Yeah.
I guess the other thing is that you're an endurance athlete.
Yep.
There's no question about that. What would be the biggest achievement since before the accident? What's the biggest achievement?
Well, there's a few times I beat you in races.
I know.
So that was.
I knew you'd say that.
Yeah, like I've done lots of different sports and stuff. I've done, obviously your first marathon's good, and I did quite well in row gains and stuff, and to realise that you can keep going for 24 hours. It took me a few years to swim across to Rottnest, so that took a while. Took a while. I never thought I could do that. I haven't got one event. Like, I've just got to have a lot of variety to do different things, and fortunately, I mean, running I used to love the most, and it's a real itch that I can't go and run anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's just so easy, and you can do it any weather.
Probably glad, because we did compete a bit.
We'd be hurting each other too much.
Yeah. But I've got one on the screen. Just tell us a little bit about the Ultraman, because there's not many people in the room that would have done an Ultraman. Just tell us what the Ultraman really is about.
I think there's only 350 people who've done Ultraman in Australia.
Yes.
It's a triathlon, but it's a bit easier than other triathlons, because in between each leg you can sleep and eat.
Right.
But
10 kilometres of swimming.
So day one you do 10 kilometres of swimming, and then 140 kilometres cycle, just on the flatlands of Noosa, and then go home and sleep and eat and get up, and then you do 240 kilometres of cycling. You've got to do these under 12 hours. So the first day, I think I was 10 minutes under the 12 hours. The second day, I had a bit of extra time. I think I was about 30 minutes under 12 hours, but that's because I stopped and gave it was Mother's Day, and there were two ladies supporting me, so I had to stop and buy them chocolates on the way. And the last day's pretty easy for me because I was on wheels, but it's a run.
80?
It's just two runs.
Yeah.
A double marathon.
Yeah. I was going to mention that Dennis did stop and buy chocolates for his support crew.
Yeah.
Which probably tells you a bit of a story as well. Well, is there any questions from the floor? It's a pretty good story. There's plenty more to tell.
The other 38 years of running was pretty good too.
Yeah,
lots of stories there.
So, but his penchant for dressing up is definitely something that I've not admired, but questioned. But is there any questions?
It's, one of the biggest. Sorry?
Would you do it again?
Do what again? Ultraman? Yeah. Only if I got a sponsor. Very expensive.
So he's open to offers. Okay.
I'd like to do. They've just opened one up in New Zealand this year. It's the first time they're doing it in New Zealand, so that would be nice, but it's very, very expensive to do it and train and get support crew over there. And
all the crew up here are open to offers, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Well, thanks heaps, Dennis, and it's a pretty good story, and I'm sure he's happy to share it with you one-on-one too, because I get to ride with him, and he's kicking my ass on the bike now. So, but that's all right.
It hasn't been race day yet.
It hasn't been race day. We're going to move on to Alice. We've been following Alice, who's drifted into the running world.
In and out.
The impact of Kambana physio and the pressure from Ash in the front row here. But Alice has drifted in to take on the challenge of her first half marathon. Mm-hmm. And she's met a few challenges along the way. Yeah. Met a few challenges along the way. But I think there's more to the Alice story than the challenges. So let's just start. Would you like some questions?
Yes, please. Yeah, I certainly didn't have
When did you start running?
Running? Oh, I I did some like sporadic running in my uni days when you'd sort of, spend a few months probably drinking too much and, getting a bit unfit, and then you'd go for a flurry of running, but nothing more than I reckon like a 3.5k at a time sort of thing. And then when I had kids and we were sort of trying to get fit after having kids, I'd run with my husband around the inlet, and then now the kids ride their bikes. But prior to the half marathon training, like 5Ks once a week, very sporadically, and then 2 10Ks in my entire sort of running career. But that was it. Yeah, so not much, but lots of sport, but not so much.
You were a pretty handy water polo player, I believe.
I was, yes. And that's, I guess, part of my story as to why I'm running too. So I've played water polo since I was like 12, I think I started playing, and I played for WA country. I played for Australian country at one point, which was a pretty exciting part of my water polo career. And then I had a vertebral artery dissection in my neck in January 2025. And then I had some subsequent strokes as a result of that. And then that has resulted in me not being able to play water polo anymore. So no contact sport for me. No roller coasters either. No Formula One driving, things like that.
No drag cars? I've got a drag car.
No, nothing high velocity. Even like the more intense sort of water slides and things like that are unfortunately off the cards for me, so it's hard when I've got little kids. But I pivoted and went for running. So
I don't like them water slides either, so it's okay. I get it. I've got a question. I found a slide. What the hell is that? Alice.
That's my flash. So my kids, I make sourdough bread I like to bake. It's my stress release sort of thing. And my kids had fundraising for school, and they asked me if I could help them fundraise, and I thought, I'll put it on Facebook. A couple of people will order loaves, $10 a loaf, raise some money for school, thinking maybe 5 or 6 people would order. They'd have a couple of bucks to spend. I think I made 72 loaves over the 2-week period. So the kids raised, just over $700 for school, which was excellent. But that's what that's about. My best friend put that into AI.
Social media's
Are they still $10 a loaf?
They can be, yeah. They might go towards my physio bills later on.
There's another certificate in that image. There's another certificate there.
Yep.
Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so in your list of questions was what's my greatest sporting achievement.
Yep.
This is probably it. I recently made life member of the Bunbury Water Polo Association, something I've been part of again since I was about 12. So it's a really big honour to join a pretty elite, as I mentioned you guys would have on your sort of boards and walls, an elite group of people who dedicate a lot of time and effort. So it was a real honour to be given life membership this year. With water polo.
Great.
Yeah.
AI took control of this. AI took control of this, and I haven't got the timing right, so it's on the finger. Yeah, so it's all right. But you sent through some images.
Yep.
I guess talk about some of the goals you've achieved, and even the water polo, because your journey is through water polo. So let's tell us a little about some of those goals that you achieved in water polo.
I think as a country athlete, and I'm sure there's some young people in the room who probably are feeling this at the moment, and even everybody who's been part of sport from the country, you can have a passion for a sport and be really quite good at it if you're in the country, but to make it in some of those sports, you really need to be in metropolitan areas and to be visible in a certain way. So I had a reasonable amount of skill in the water polo sort of department, but I never had the drive behind me mentally to kind of really chase anything. I did schoolgirls a couple of times. I don't know if they could still call it schoolgirls, schoolboys at the moment, but I did that for a little while and I realised it's not really what I wanted to do. So I decided I was going to stick with like WA country water polo level, and I played that for quite a long time. And then once I sort of got not sick of chasing that for myself, but I really thought, well, what's next? And it's the juniors. So I've been spending a fair bit of time coaching juniors and trying to develop junior water polo in Bunbury, which has kind of been fallen by the wayside a little bit the last few years. So that's where I guess my passion for the sport now lies, and helping country athletes if they want to be noticed and, you know, chase the dream of playing. You
The
know.
young guy sitting next to you might get a bit of advice from you on that.
Yeah, but it's tough for country athletes. So yeah, I guess any help you can give kids to do that sort of thing, I'm really passionate about.
Yeah, and there's an evil look of that physio you got there. That is pure evil.
Yeah.
You know, isn't it? You know, yeah.
Well, Rido and I have been friends for a very long time. So we met, I reckon, when we were like under 10 for the first time, I reckon, like in some way. And we went to uni together, and Rido came and joined the group at the uni, and we were like looking at each other going, we know each other from somewhere. You know, it must be some kind of sporting kind of, I think we played netball against each other growing up. Ash was in Boyart Brook, I was in Bunbury. But we've been mates since early uni days, really. So, yeah, she probably really enjoyed that.
Yeah, she did. It's obvious. Yeah. You've mentioned a few, but any moments that have been truly memorable for you, something that really stands out? Meeting us is good. Meeting you guys, yeah. I think like it stands out when you change a sport, like you try something new as an adult. We don't do it all that often, and I think I think I said this on the podcast with the walk guys. You teach kids it's okay to be uncomfortable. You say, step out of your comfort zone. You say it a lot. I don't know if we do it a lot. So I think this has been a really great opportunity for me to do that and to, I guess put it on display, how we have with our social media, and go on podcasts, which I've never done before, chat with you guys. You guys are so supportive, the Runners Club. I haven't had anything but support, just not from just here, but the Bunbury community. So, yeah, that's a highlight, I guess. Yeah, changing sports and finding a community that's really supportive. Yeah. And I guess now you've got to work through a few challenges. I've got an image up there that sort of describes some of those challenges. Water running, what's it like?
It's surprisingly difficult. I've had a quick chat to some of the ladies as I walked in, people who've experienced similar types of injuries or needing to pivot, and surprisingly hard. Yeah, it's a bit of a workout.
And I think it's fair to say I have met a few people that have had very successful outcomes and have been able to do an Ironman post your injury.
Yeah, well, I think Rido's got some journal articles somewhere about you can train for a half or a full in the pool. So that's you.
Yeah, there is a couple in the community that have achieved. You know, it's not going to be easy, and you know that, and it might not happen. But at the moment, there's probably a pretty good chance.
That's still the officially. I don't know if we'd ever tell a patient to do that from a combiner physio sort of perspective. And we're not going to do anything stupid, you know. I'm not going to run on it if it's not right, but we'll see how we go. Cross training, we're lucky. We've got access to pools and beach, and I've got a Pilates studio at my disposal at work, and backyard pool and bikes, and there's options. So
I think it's fair to say that your journey has probably been more published than most on the WO Running podcast, which has been fantastic. It's great for running.
Yeah.
And I think the running community will benefit from the fact that you're putting yourself out there. There's no doubt about that. The running community will benefit from that because we all face it. At some point in time, there's going to be a point where you have to deal with stuff, and that's what makes us runners. Any questions for Alice? Surely there is.
Are you listening to your physio?
What drugs you use?
I am. Yeah. Well, don't run is pretty much what we're doing right now, isn't it?
What is your injury?
A tibial stress fracture. So grade 3 tibial stress fracture, if you have to get technical.
A flesh wound.
Flesh wound, yeah.
So, Alice, before you injured yourself, did you reach that runner's high? Or were you still uncomfortable?
If you'd asked me that before I injured myself, I probably would have said no. But looking back, I reckon I probably did. I was probably really enjoying.
You didn't recognise it?
No, I didn't recognise it. I kept waiting for it. And I didn't feel like it come, but I was really enjoying it. Yeah. I was looking forward to going out for my runs. I think maybe once in the entire time I was running, which was over a couple of months, I was like, ugh, do I have to go and do this run? Yeah, everyone's watching, better go. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, way more than I thought I would. Yeah. So that's my advice to anybody else, is that just start.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a quick question. As a physio, and you get a patient and you're recommending a regime of treatment, do you accept the fact that runners are going to run?
I think athletes are going to athlete, like, you know,
And
yeah.
therefore tailor it to
Yeah.
the fact that they are going to run.
I think from Ash, you might want to take this as well, but I think from my perspective is like making sure that you're clearly communicating with each other, so they're being honest with you and you're being honest with them, and giving them, like, I guess if you go this way, this is what your possibilities are. Yep, and then if you go this way, you know, like trying to, I guess, communicate, because it's the athlete's pain, so they're the ones who have to suffer at home after if they choose a different path. So I guess options and communicating, but yeah, absolutely. Like athletes are gonna athlete.
Yeah.
They're gonna go for it. So
Yeah, we just keep changing physios.
yeah.
Any physio that tells me not to run,
But like,
I find another one.
So Ash's, I reckon Ash's least favourite thing to say would be stop running. Would that be like, you hate saying that? You don't want to say that.
There aren't many injuries, but you have to stop running. This is
Just got the one. Got the one.
A
Yeah.
broken leg is one of them.
you scale it.
Yeah.
So,
Scale. Yeah.
Yeah, this is just the worst possible injury in terms of load, because the only way it's going to heal is you have to stop running for a period of time, and then we load it and she runs again. We just aren't sure yet if that will be on the 12th of April this year
Or somewhere else.
or somewhere else, or it'll be next year. It'll still happen.
Yep.
We just got a bit of a
We're
deadline
kind of
for
expecting.
timing.
We're kind of expecting it, right? So, Alice, you don't get to escape yet.
Well, someone suggested I have a scooter, so like, you know, maybe I need some chips, maybe I need the
There will be
breaking chair.
there will be nothing more rewarding than you crossing the line in a half marathon, whether it's this
some
year or
stage.
another year. It's got to be at Bunbury though. Okay, so if you do a half somewhere else, you'll have to do the marathon year.
Well, no, I want to do it here. This is like it's my comfort zone. This is where I want to do it, but yeah, we'll see.
Michelle.
Now, you've got this injury. Do you do it running?
Yeah, well, there's no other way. Yeah, it's because it's a stress injury. Yeah.
It's just overuse.
Well, I don't do anything else that would overuse my legs. So when I'm going to see the sports doctors on Monday, and then they'll run me through a myriad of bone density tests and blood tests and make sure it's not actually like an endocrine thing. And that's what we would tell a patient to do, is go and get it medically kind of sussed out as well. So unless it's something like that, there's nothing else that I do at the moment that would be a result in an injury like this. Because this, like Ash said, there's stress. It's bone stress. It's load that's done it. So, yeah, but everybody's different. And I think you guys all know within your running journeys, like everybody's body is different, and I just obviously need a little bit more baseline conditioning and loading before we then start to ramp up.
And we're happy to join you for that. Okay? So, yeah. Any other questions? Well, thanks a lot, Alice. Thanks for sharing it. It's really important you continue to do that, because it's so much benefit for others, you know. I have no doubt about that. Okay, we'll move on to the younger member of the team tonight. Yep. And I asked Aidan to do this because Aidan's on a journey with his family. His family are here tonight, but Aidan's on a journey that we've seen a few times around the club over the years, and I think it's really important that we all share Aidan's journey, because his ambition, and he'll tell us a bit about that in a minute. His ambition is it's up there, and we want to be a part of it. So that's why I asked Aidan today. I'm a part of the Southwest Academy of Sport, and there's not many people like Aidan in the community that are absolutely dedicated. But more importantly, and I want to recognise them, is their mum and dad. You know, for a young athlete to achieve at the very highest level from the regions, it takes a family and a community. And we're just part of your community, right? So this is we're hoping we can help you on that journey. And if you've got cash later on, when he asks for some help, it will be very beneficial, because there was a young guy and member in the club many, many years ago that did achieve the ultimate goal, which Aidan is chasing one day. And if he doesn't get it, he'll get very close. But if it wasn't for this community, I'm absolutely sure he wouldn't have made it. And there's no question about that. So in the future, when he reaches out for a bit of help, He needs it. So that's why I started with Aidan here. But tell us a little bit about where you are today. What's your career look like today? I know you've just won something, so start with that and then work back a bit.
With what I just won?
Yeah.
So on last weekend, I won, on the long weekend, on the Monday, I won the state junior aquathlon championships, which is a run, swim, run, it's not up there actually, but yeah, I'm really stoked about that. It's kind of been my goal. Now I've got to move on to my national championships, which is next week actually, and hope for a good result. Yeah.
So what is the big driver for you every day of the week? Where do you want to be?
Well, the ultimate goal would be to represent Australia at the Olympics. Obviously, that would be the number one thing I would like to do. But I feel I've always just had a drive to achieve, to like see how far I can go in my chosen like sport, and I've really dedicated myself to keeping on going to try and put myself in the best position to achieve that goal, which is the Olympics ultimately.
Yeah, in triathlon?
Yeah, in triathlon.
In triathlon.
In short,
yeah,
triathlon.
Which is great. Because you'll have to be a pretty good runner.
Yeah,
to do
yeah,
that.
definitely.
And you know, we'll see you at the end of that journey, and we'll get you back here to win the marathon. You know, that's the aim.
Yeah.
But day to day, what's the main drivers for you? You know, what's your training regime look like?
Well, I train 2 to 3 times a day every day, swim 4 times a week, ride 3 or 4 times a week, and run 3 or 4 times a week, and then I'll do gym around that as well. And it's a struggle some days really to get the motivation to get out there and do it, but just got to think about the end goal, and that's really all it takes for me to get out there, keep on going.
Yeah. You do all right academically as well.
Yeah, I guess. I'm in the academic program.
Yes.
Well, I was. It's ended now, but I was up at Bunbury High, so you could say
And your
so.
sister did all right too recently.
Yeah, definitely. Annabelle's studying medicine now up in Curtin, so she set the bar high.
So, I mean, that's a bit of a trend in this club, right? There's quite a few in this club that have reached the medicine journey.
Yeah.
So I've got a feeling it goes hand in hand with being good at your sport and working hard at it. So the school sports, you've got a couple of races. You're in the school sports program too, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm in the triathlon WA state team.
Yeah.
And I got selected to represent WA through school sport at the national championships, which is next week.
Next week. At where?
In Runaway Bay in Queensland.
Right, lucky spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Might not be able to. There might be a bit of water around, but that's all right.
Yeah.
I guess on your journey, Annabelle's a good athlete. Yeah, obviously I saw you train a lot with Annabelle in the early days. You used to do a bit together.
Yeah, Annabelle, to be honest, she was really the main motivation that got me started on my triathlon journey, because when we were in primary school, she was always the best runner at school, and to be honest, I was not the best, like at the back of the pack. And seeing her training, because she had a goal to represent WA for cross country, and it unfortunately didn't work out for her in primary school, it did in high school.
Yeah.
But seeing her out there training, it's really motivated me, in that I always wanted to be better than her. So
That's handy.
yeah, that got me started on the running journey as well, and that's probably my best moment, is beating her for the first time at Park Run in Bunbury. That's really stuck with me.
In a typical week, and Sarah, you're welcome to answer this as well. In a typical week, where have you got to train?
So I train 4 times a week in Busselton, swimming, and it's a really, really difficult, because
Because you live in Capel or further out.
in Donnybrook.
Between Donnybrook and Capel.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll have to drive to Busselton to swim, then Mum and the little boys sometimes will have to wait in Busselton whilst I swim, and then I have to get dropped at school, which is in Bunbury, and then the little boys have to sometimes be late to school, getting dropped back in Donnybrook, so I really am grateful for the sacrifices they're making.
Yeah.
But Yeah.
That'll be all right. When you're at the Olympic Games, they'll get you to go to the cool tents, the Oakley tent, and the Nike tent, and the Adidas tent. So that'll be right. Yeah, it'll be okay.
Yeah, definitely.
But it is a journey. Okay, where else? Where do you ride? Where do you do bike training?
I'm extremely lucky to live in Donnybrook, where there is great riding roads, and there are a couple boys who live out there who I ride with occasionally, and a couple of people who support me at Kath and Michael Beeson. Go out and ride with them occasionally.
Yep.
I come in to Bunbury to ride at the cycle club on Saturday mornings, and that's a really great community, which I've only really just started getting a part of.
And Mum has to bring you into that?
Yeah.
Or Dad?
Yeah.
I think it's Mum. I saw her the other day.
Another early rise.
Yes.
For them.
Okay, and obviously the running, you're...
Yeah. So I run around Donnybrook, more normally in town, and then I obviously come in here on Thursdays and run most Thursdays.
Yeah.
And yeah, running's probably the easiest one to do because I do it all solo apart from this.
Yeah.
So.
And you have a coach?
Yes, I do. I'm coached by Janine Kay, who's the head of the Triathlon WA, junior development squad.
Yep.
Yep.
And I guess having a little bit of knowledge of what it takes to make it, do you anticipate that you might have to leave the state?
Yeah, definitely. Me and Mum were actually talking about this the other day. Potentially it's going to happen after I finish year 12, if I'm going to move to a training squad or if I'm going to go to uni. But I think the dream would be to move over to the Gold Coast and train, but unfortunately it doesn't always happen, but see how it goes.
Yeah. Okay. I guess academically, how are you balancing that? How are you balancing academia with the current load of your sport?
Yeah, it's a big struggle really. I'm probably not doing as much academically as some other people in my year, but I just try and get everything done as much as I can at school, and a couple of late nights if I have to before tests.
Yeah. Is Annabelle helping?
Annabelle's in Perth now. Well, she was helping before.
Yeah.
But now she's moved on to Perth. I'll occasionally message her asking me for help, but it's not as much.
Yeah. Because I was running with these guys one night, and Aidan indicated what his preferences were for his year 12, year 11, and Annabelle gave him some very clear advice that he was choosing the wrong one. So I suspect Annabelle has a little influence on your life.
Yeah, definitely. Annabelle is she's a big person in my life. Sorry, little boys, but I'd say I'm closer to Annabelle.
Yeah, she's dominant
than
as well. She made it very clear that night.
Yeah. She tells me how it is.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you're going to meet some coaches that'll do that as well.
Yeah,
as you
definitely.
Wander through your journey. Is there any questions for Aidan?
Have you carved down your other sports? I know rowing used to be...
Yeah, I used to be really into my rowing, and now that I've got a goal of my triathlon journey, I've kind of cut back a bit. Like right now, during triathlon season, I'm doing no rowing at all, but I potentially might be going back when tri-season ends. But
Tri-season never ends.
Yeah. Maybe. It's a real juggle, but I've got my priorities, so if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Triathlon is the number one goal.
Any other questions for Aidan?
Is school supportive when you turn up late?
I don't turn up late, luckily, because it's the little boys who turn up late.
It's your turn soon, okay? It's your turn soon. Yeah.
So, does the school obviously know what happened, what you're doing?
Yeah, all my teachers are really supportive because I am in the elite sports program at Bunbury High, and my teacher, I don't usually follow the structured training that they're meant to do, and I kind of just do my own thing. He's really supportive. He knows what I'm doing with my training, so he accommodates for my needs, and the school is.
Oh, there's a bit of wind out there. I guess one more question. If a young budding athlete, and you're one of them, but someone that wants to get on this journey like you're on, what would be a bit of advice you'd give them?
Just keep going. There are going to be days where we don't want to do it. We don't want to get out of bed early to go swim, which is a real struggle some days. But
How's that, Sarah? Getting to swimming?
Usually he doesn't want to get up, and I'm already up and said, well, I'm already up.
yeah, so
I've been up for an hour, you get up.
I'm extremely grateful for the motivation I get sometimes from Mum. But you just got to keep going because it does get easier.
Yep. And you haven't got a driver's license yet?
No, I don't. I still got like another year and a half before I
That's
get my
right.
driver's
So
license.
I wasn't going to say your age, but you haven't got a driver's license yet. It's probably tells us a bit of a story. Well, look, I think good luck, but it won't come from good luck. It'll come from lots of help, community, and hopefully some of the people around this room can help you along the way. I certainly are pretty keen to give you some help along the way, and I hope that the Southwest community gets behind you.
I can teach you how to make sourdough.
And physios,
Good profit margin.
They might be able to help you out sometime in the future. So it's about paying forward. So thank you for paying forward here now, right? For telling us your story. That's really important. And thanks heaps.
Yeah, thank you. Definitely.
The headline act. Okay, this is the headline act. Not many people, I've got a feeling not a lot of people know what Amy gets up to. And I'm not sure Amy does sometimes.
No.
But I've known Amy for quite a long time. I've watched her grow in sport, and I don't know what Amy gets up to. So hopefully tonight I get a bit of insight into the Amy story. But what I do know, it's a pretty good story. So, want to tell us a little bit, an overview of Amy?
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
And then I'll give you some questions. Just some overview.
Okay. So not knowing what I get up to, most of the time it's sitting in a servo with a can of Coke because my blood sugar's low. No, look, I'm Amy. I'm like a runner, as you can see. I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at age 3. So, for those that don't know, my pancreas doesn't work.
It fell out in one of the photos.
Yeah, pretty sure.
We'll get to that.
My body doesn't produce insulin, my body doesn't produce glucose when it's needed to, so I have to think about that and tell my insulin pump what to do and when to do it. And so obviously with running that's quite a challenge because you're constantly burning and constantly needing and constantly having to make sure your muscles are getting what they need, and if you don't, you end up at a service station half unconscious, needing help. So it can be a bit of a challenge. Started playing sport quite young because back then that kind of diagnosis meant quite a restriction on your lifestyle. Can't do this, can't do that. Mum and Dad wanted to normalise my childhood as much as possible. So they enrolled me in all the sports that I was terrible at, like ball sports and hockey, and I scored 1 goal in 10 years of everything. And I started running at 15 because I figured that was the only thing that I'd ever be okay at. I didn't want concussion from basketball or hockey or anything because I was just uncoordinated and terrible. So yeah, I started running at 15 to help myself stay healthy. Yeah.
And I guess along the way, you're a nurse.
Yep.
An ED nurse.
Yep.
And I read that you're an ultrasound technologist.
Yeah, do both. Yep. Yep.
So what's that?
I do ultrasound. So
That's it? You see babies.
Babies, all your injuries that you get, muscle injuries, basically anything that needs a scan. I do that too. And yeah, I work in emergency, not so much anymore, but it used to be full time. So yeah, seen a lot and yeah.
I'm sure. And you've done a couple of Ironmen?
Yeah, yep. 10.
10.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is one of the most understated ladies you'll get around. Okay?
Do you have 10 tats, or is it just one tat?
Just one.
You've done a few marathons.
Yeah, yep.
How many?
About 11.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
And then there's an event that's pretty close to your heart.
Yeah.
Which is the Barley Hope 84.
Yes.
Done that how many times?
That's my 4th one this year.
Yeah.
Yep.
So 84 Ks, tell us a bit about the Barley Hope
Okay.
Ultra.
So the Barley Hope Ultra Marathon is an overnight run from Lavina in the north coast of Bali to Canggu in the south coast, 84 Ks, basically up and down a mountain. And the beneficiary of the run is the Bali Children Foundation, so it funds education in North Bali. My parents took on a young girl when she was probably 10, basically adopted her, brought her up. So that's why for me it's a really important thing to do, because these kids, their families probably get about $50 a month. That's their family income. So the government doesn't fund schooling in Bali. They can't send their kids to school. So every single cent we make goes towards these kids' education. So starts at 7:30. Starts at 5:30 if you're a full timer. You have that option to run a bit slower. 7:30 for me and 9:30 for the crazies. And so most people get across in about 14, 15 hours. Starts with a massive mountain, 2,000 metre elevation the first 20 Ks, and then down to Canggu after that. So
I see it at Ash finish then.
it's hamstring awareness in the first 20 Ks. About 20 people do it every year, and we go over there a couple of days before the actual run. We go and visit the school we raise money for, see the change that's made over the last year from all the donations, and do the run. And what's really cool about it is that you're delirious and just not having a good time at 80 Ks in. The kids from the school are standing at the traffic lights telling you where to go and basically pushing you in the right direction because you're just out of it, right? Really special event. This is the 10th year they've run it. I'm probably going to do it most years because it's just a really rewarding thing to do. And we've raised, I think personally I've raised about $20,000 so far, and $100 sends a kid to school for a year, which is just not a possibility without it. Super special event,
we probably should all do it.
You should all do it. Yeah.
Should have a crack.
So cool, so much fun.
I guess through your career, I knew you running with your brother.
Yes.
Yeah. What's he doing?
Corey was always the cyclist when it came to triathlon, and he ran with me because I made him because he just didn't train. So he's still around. He's living out in Rollins and doing a bit of cycling, but has had a bit of almost a knee replacement from work, from playing goalie in hockey and just sliding around his knee the whole time. So doesn't run much anymore, but still gets out and about. Yeah.
Because my earliest memory of you was running with Corey. And I saw you out quite a lot. I think you did an Ironman together. And again, running with your siblings, family is a pretty cool thing to do.
For sure.
I'm sure that helped in those early years. What's next?
Obviously doing Bali Hope again.
Yeah,
Bali 84 in May. That's I think about 10 weeks away now. After that, I'm not too sure. I haven't got any ideas after that, but I'm sure I'll come up with something.
There's room on the marathon committee. There's
yes,
There's
absolutely.
room on the marathon committee. I got a feeling you also did a lot of Relay for Life.
Yes, I do.
A reason? Or you don't need one, I know, but was there a reason?
So I did. I ran that for 24 hours back in 2010, I think it was.
See how understated this is. Drag it out,
Oh, nothing. I mean, I see a lot of cancer at work. I scan it every day. I see it all the time. So when I got asked to be on the committee as an MC, I was like, yeah, cool, sounds great. So I've done that every year, and it's a super rewarding event. Tiring, but fantastic. Really fun to do. So.
And what's about the shoey on this photo? I found it. You didn't give it to me. The social media sucks.
Okay, so that's Dad's fault too. Those of you that know my old man would understand. At the start of the night, I think I'd raised $3,500, and I said if I can get to $5,000 by the time I finish, I get to Canggu tomorrow morning and do a shoey at the finish line. I'd made $7,000 before the race even started. So within 20 minutes of saying that, everyone just went, "You're not going to do this. There's no way you're going to do that. Get real." And I was vomiting for about the last 20 Ks of that run, so I didn't think I'd do it either. But got to the finish line. First thing Dad did was come up to me with a bintang, said, "Get your shoe off. You're a girl of your word. Let's go." So, yes, and that was filmed and proved my point, and I might do it again this year. Hopefully I'm feeling better, but yeah.
And social media helped me again.
Yeah.
What's the camel?
The camel. Oh, so I went to India for 3 months. Just for no reason, really. My cousin did a lot of travel through India, and I just thought it was a really cool place. So that was on the border of India and Pakistan, which was a war zone. Mum didn't like that much either. No. That's just Selma Desert. So we did some camel riding over there and spent a few nights there, and yeah.
And the image in the bottom right's not a great look, but you were obviously promoting the gel, were you? Was that a promotion for the gel?
I think so, or it's
The
just...
Barley Hope, yeah.
Yeah, Barley Hope. I think it was a donation thing, and probably
Yeah.
I might have been having
So
low blood sugar or
promoting
something.
food. So at the last seminar we talked about supplements, so I thought I'd throw that in.
It's good stuff. Tastes
Yeah.
it's so good. It's
Because
so
Amy
nice.
uses it, so it must be all right.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Is there any questions for Amy? And she's around the club, so you need to have a chat to her, because there's a lot more that I haven't uncovered.
Amy, did I see a photo of you desert running across the desert?
Oh yeah, that was in 2014. So we ran 250k across the Simpson Desert, and we raised 150 grand for juvenile diabetes research. So that was over 6 days.
How about that for understated?
It's so hard. Sand just sucks. It's just yeah.
So I think one of my earliest memories is doing the jetty swim with you and my kids, which it was probably about 2012 or something.
Yeah.
Amy left them on the finish line with her insulin pump and said, "Here, hold this, sluck it back."
They weren't waterproof then.
Obviously, other than trying to manage your blood sugar levels,
Yep.
swimming obviously causes an issue.
Oh, so many issues.
How else? What other issues does your diabetes?
Day to day. So if I wake up in the morning and my blood sugar's too low, can't run. Simple. That's it. End of story. I have to plan. I've got to know exactly when I'm going to go for a run, because I've got to stop my insulin pump 2 hours in advance. So I've got no circulating insulin by the time I leave the house, because if you've got anything in your system, your blood sugar will just drop way too quickly. It doesn't matter what time of day it is. So it's just a bit of planning, just a bit more planning. And I've had a few times where I've gone, why am I sitting at like 2.8? Like, it's 6 a.m. I mean, thank God Dome's open at 6 a.m, because I've been there drinking Coke at 10 past 6 going, I've still got 10 k's to go, I've got to get to work, my blood sugar's 2.8 and dropping, how do I manage this? So even now at age 37, after having this condition for 34 years, still absolutely kicks your button sometimes. So what you do yesterday won't work tomorrow. So,
There was an image on social media, I didn't put it up, but Amy posted on social media, my pancreas just fell. And basically it was a pump hanging from the cord. And she just took a photo of it. It did crack me up. I thought, holy heck.
Yeah, they just fell out of my pocket while I was out running and almost fell out of my skin, so that would have been interesting if I had. But no, my pancreas, where is it? Let's show you. That's it. I control it. I tell it what to do. And if I make a mistake, it's a big deal usually. So,
It's a big change from where you started with your diabetes.
Huge. Yeah, I'd be running around with a vial of insulin and a syringe if it wasn't for that. So, yeah. And I still do that as a spare on a long run in case it fails. So it's always interesting at airports.
Is there, in terms of like young athletes who are also managing diabetes stuff, is there like lots of help? Because obviously it sounds like you've kind of figured it out as you go. Is there?
There's not much.
No?
There's not much. It's getting there, because there's an elite tennis player that has type 1. Can't remember his name. And there's a couple of ultramarathon runners that also have it. But in terms of advice from endocrinologists, they're just like, what you're doing seems to be working, so keep doing it. I guess it's hard as an endocrinologist who's, if you've seen all these changes over the years, all they can really do is encourage you. They can't really go, this is my suggestion, because everyone's different. Everyone's immune system does completely different things. So, you just got to figure it out.
Well, there's a lot more to Amy's story here as well, but I think our question,
Yeah. Amy can answer this, but it's also for the other three as well. We've got a physio, we've got an ultrasound technician. What about psychology? We've got
Interesting.
Don't ask Amy that question.
Dennis's work,
Yeah.
with the Marie Savages of the world and so forth. Has anyone, even anyone else in the room, had a need or an issue or a story about the psychological side of getting support? You see it in the Olympics all the time when they do interviews and whatnot. They talk about sports psychologists getting them across the line, they feel like crap before this and that, and they've got their head right, all that sort of stuff. Has anyone had a shot at that?
No.
AIS and the WA Institute of Sport. Aidan, have you been introduced to anyone yet? Probably not through the
not
academy.
a sports psychologist.
No, because you're not quite on the full program of the South West Academy of Sport, but they're trying to get there. But look, I can answer some of that. Is it's limited. It's limited to the very elite, and it's probably used up by the people that probably don't need it.
Yeah.
Without being contradictory, I would suspect that a lot of the resources are used up by people that probably need a bit more ticker than the psychological. And people like Eric at this table today would probably be beneficial to get a little bit of that support. I know that from, just the little bit of experience I've got in sport, that is very limited to the very elite and a lot to the precious. I can't word it any better than that.
That's true, yeah.
But I think it might be a bit true. And if it could filter back to the people that are, may have challenges in life outside of, not getting a Mercedes or something, might be more beneficial. The panel's open for a couple of questions. I think a lot of people have missed out tonight. I'm going to make that comment. A lot of people have missed out tonight because we have assembled 4 very inspirational people. Their story's awesome. It's helped me. Thanks, guys. I get a lot from this sort of stuff. So thanks. The WA Running Podcast, if it goes okay, may get a bit of this out there. But I'd like to think that we can do this more often and we can share your journey. Alice, we can share your journey and then I'd love to watch you do a marathon sometime, okay?
Well, I'm nothing but inspired now. I've got the pressure. Yeah, I'm going to go and run in the pool when I get home.
He's very young and he'll probably want to be a doctor as well because he wants to be his sister.
Be a sonographer.
He's probably going to try and beat his sister at that. He's probably going to be a surgeon or something. But anyway, all the best, Aidan.
Thank you.
Amy's got a charity. We'd like to help that. So Amy's a compere for our 3 Waters, and we try to help out. But of course, when she reaches out, if you've heard the story, share it with the people around you and maybe they can help out a little bit.
Cool,
and Dennis doesn't need any money. But I think, have a chat to Dennis. There's a lot more that we haven't uncovered in all of the panel tonight. But we thank them. So that's about all I can say. And in closing, I'd like to congratulate Ash, because at the last seminar she was embarking on a journey to break 3 hours, and she did it at Busselton. Pity you didn't do it here. But I also probably just close off. They're the marathon sponsors. All of them are very valuable to us. Combana will be unveiling some knots on a few people on the day. Ash is she's a pacer, 3:30 pacer. Yep. Yeah, I only found that out today. It's all the secret, the pacer stuff, But the WA Running Podcast guys have got behind the event. 3 Waters is definitely on the Australian running calendar. It would be fair to say, Megan, it is absolutely on the West Australian running calendar now. People who want to run in a great environment will come to Bunbury from now on. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Thanks, Mum and Dad.
All right.
Thanks, brother. Hey? But anyway, thanks everyone, and we'll call it quits.
Thank you so much for joining me on episode 004 of The Road to the Checkered Bastard. Thank you, Ian and Megan, for recording this seminar on our behalf, as it enables us to share with the wider Warp audience. And on behalf of Simon and Vicky, I would like to thank Dennis, Alice, Aidan and Amy for sharing their stories that are deeply personal to them, but ultimately awe-inspiring to us and for the listeners too, I'm sure. For those of you listening, you can reach us on Instagram at WA Running Pod. Our email is warunningpodcast@gmail.com, and our Strava group is Warp. That's us for episode 004. Next time you'll hear from us, we'll be chatting with the Pace team, taking on the marathon at Bunbury 3 Waters. Look forward to seeing you all next time on the Road to the Checkered Bastard.